Hello, friends. I'm Miss Carrie from the Columbiana Public Library, and I am super excited about our summer reading program this year. This year, all of our stories have to do with animals. How exciting is that? So I have some animal stories that I brought today to share with you. And our first story has to do with an animal you don't normally see in this part of Ohio. Normally, you don't see it anywhere in Ohio or this part of the country, because this animal likes it where it's cold and they like ice and snow, and so we don't normally see them in this area unless we are at the zoo. So our first story is about a polar bear. Once there was a beautiful white polar bear who lived in the zoo. Every day the children came to the zoo to watch the polar bear. He would sit up, balancing himself with his feet in the air. Then he would roll in the grass, sit up, and clap his big furry paws. When he finished, the children would clap their hands and they would stamp their feet. Can you help me do that? Clap your hands and stamp your feet really hard. Well, one day, Polar Bear stood by his fence watching the workmen who were painting the nearby building. 3 cans of paint were left by the fence when the workmen went home that night. Polar Bear reached through the fence and he grabbed the cans. And that night he dipped his big paw into the first can. What color did he dip it into? That's right, he dipped it into the yellow can of paint. And he painted himself all over. So when he painted himself all over, he wasn't white anymore, he was yellow. The next day, the children came and Polar Bear did his tricks. The children clapped their hands, clap your hands really loud, and they stamped their feet, stamp your feet really loud. And they said, Polar Bear, your color's too bright. We liked it much better when your color was white. So that night, Polar Bear dipped his paws into the second can of paint. And what color did he dip it into? That's right, he dipped it into the blue can of paint, and he painted himself all over. Well, when we mix yellow paint with blue paint, what color did we come up with? Do you know? He was yellow. He put the blue on it, and he turned, that's right, green, just like Miss Carrie's shirt. He's green. Well, the next day the children came and Polar Bear did his tricks. The children clapped their hands, clap your hands, and they stamped their feet, stamped them really loud. And they said, Polar Bear, your color's too bright. We liked it much better when your color was white. Well, that night, the Polar Bear dipped his paws into the third can of paint, the last one. What color do you think it was? That's right, he dipped it into the red paint. And he painted himself all over. So he's green, and he added red to that. Do you know what color it makes when red and green go together? When we mix red and green together, our Christmas colors, we get, that's right, brown. So now our bear is brown. The next day, the children came, and Polar Bear, or he looks like a brown bear now, did his tricks. And the children clapped their hands, clap your hands really loud, and they stamped their feet, stamp your feet really loud. And they said, Polar Bear, your color's too bright. We liked it much better when your color was white. Well, the bear looked at the children, and the children looked at the bear, and Polar Bear jumped into the water. And he swam, and he swam, and he went down so deep that the children couldn't see him anymore. Up and down in the water he swam, until finally he climbed out. And what color was he? He was back to our white Polar Bear. That's right. The children clapped their hands, clap your hands really loud, and stamped their feet, stamp your feet. And they said, Polar Bear, Your color's just right. We love you, Polar Bear, so pretty and white." And the bear decided never again to change his color. After all, polar bears are supposed to be white, aren't they? The end. Good job! You did a good job helping Miss Carrie with that story. Well, our next story is going to be on Miss Carrie's board here, and it is a drawing story. So Miss Carrie's going to draw on here and see if you can figure out what I'm drawing. This story is about Jody and Jay. Jody and Jay were brothers and sister. In fact, they were twins. They looked exactly the same, except one was a boy and one was a girl. One day in school, their teacher said they were going to learn about animals, about different kinds of animals. So for homework, Jody and Jay had to bring in the name of an animal for their group to study. After school, Jody and Jay ran to the car to meet their father. They got in the car and they told their dad about their homework. Well, their dad wanted to help. So instead of going home, he turned the car around and he went to the zoo. At the zoo, they each got an ice cream cone for a snack. And they began to walk around looking for an animal to study. They walked and they walked, and finally they came across a fenced-in grassy area. And in it was the animal that they wanted to study. Jody and Jay had learned all about this animal. What animal did they learn about? That's right! They were learning about elephants. Do you like elephants? Miss Carrie loves to see the elephants when she goes to the zoo. I think it would be fun to learn about elephants. Maybe that's something you could do this summer. Check out a book from your library about elephants and polar bears even. And maybe, if you're really good, maybe Mom and Dad will even take you to the zoo so that you can see them in real life. Well, I have one more story to share with you today. And for this story, Miss Carrie has a box. Once there was a little girl named Sarah. She was walking home from school one day when she spotted a pretty little box on the grass by the curb. There must be something funny in that box, she said to herself. Well, she picked up the box and she shook it. It didn't make any noise, so she tried to open it. She tried and she tried, but she couldn't get the box open. So she decided that she would just take the box home and see if she could open it there. Well, as she walked along, she looked down and she saw, what'd she see? A key on the ground. She sat down on the sidewalk. She picked up the key and she said, I wonder if this key would open this box. Because there was a keyhole in it. So she took the key, she blew it off, and she tried it in the keyhole. And she turned it round. Click, said the lock. And when she tried the lid, this time it opened right up. Can you guess what's inside the box? Why, it is a raccoon's tail. And if this raccoon's tail was longer, then this tail would have been longer too. The end. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed my stories. Make sure you go to the library and you check out some really cool books about animals. You can find picture books and real books with real information and real pictures. They're all at your local library. So make sure you go in and find it today. Well, Miss Carrie always says a goodbye song at the end of all of her stories. So if you want to help me, there's a couple signs we're going to do. We're going to do goodbye. And we have friends. If you put your two fingers together is friends. And time, point to your wrist. And say, and goodbye. So help me do this song today. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. It's time to say goodbye. Have a great day and have a great summer. Make sure you read this summer and visit your local library. Goodbye.